And welcome to another Ditch Witch Diaries. And so glad to be back with Raven. Woohoo! And Roz is with us, even in person, like a real face instead of just a big block of Roz.
The Roz block.
Exactly. So happy to have her with us. And we will just jump right into the next little fruit in our Kitchen Bewitchery series. So let me just share this little screen here. And we are doing pomegranate.
Very nice.
It is huge. And pomegranate is huge. And I'll tell you why, is because it's so everywhere. Like, it's shocking how widespread pomegranate is, and how even though we'll see not in the Americas. So not at all. So we will just get going. So pomegranate is Punica granatum. Our little punica. And what a punica it is. So this is the botanical drawing, and this, wow, look at that. So lovely. Just a lovely little image there. And I should have taken a picture because we have a brand new little punica tree that's I can't wait. I'm gonna say it all the time. It's doomed. It's not pomegranate anymore, it's now punica. Anyway, so but it doesn't have any, it has like one little ball. It's brand new. It's like the first year. So it has like one little ball of fruit on it. That's it.
There will be plenty.
There will be plenty. Exactly. So the parts used are the root, the bark, the fruit, the rind of the fruit, and the flowers. All sorts of stuff. We're going to see it used all over the place. Other names are anar, spelled differently. The apple of Granada, Carthage apple, Dalim, Granada, Granada apple. I wonder where that's from. That's curiouser. Granado, Grenadier, Malicorio, Malum, ground pound garnet, and punicum. Oh, puni. Plant information part 1. There's so much plant information here. First of all, it's a dye, and the best is that you would think it's a red dye, right? That makes sense. But wait, the bark is a yellow dye, and it's specifically used in this type of like leather that's made in the Middle East called Moroccan leather is dyed with the yellow dye used from the bark of punica, pomegranate. There you go. Then also the flowers and the fruit rind make an obvious red dye that we all know and love if you've ever
your fingers
on your face. Exactly. And it's considered a superfruit. So in that category with all those lovely other things, like what is the other, the acai, and we should do a little one on acai because I feel like acai has the best story ever. But other lovely super.
Also like blueberries.
Yeah.
Blueberries, goji berries.
Yeah.
Those other, it's like, no, can't think.
Yes, neither
brains.
It melted. Exactly. So it's a large shrub or a small tree, and it has smooth evergreen leaves and orange to red flowers on it. And you've seen these fruits, and it's got a really thick exterior husk, and this exterior husk has 2 layers. So the outer layer is called an epicarp, and there's a soft inner like white pithy layer called a mesocarp. And then there's an inner mesocarp that has all these chambers in it that holds all these fleshy seeds. Okay. And the best is that pomegranates are true berries. I bet you didn't know that. So they're a fleshy fruit that comes from the ovary of a single flower. So pomegranates are berries. Plant information part 2. So they're native to Afghanistan, Iran, North Caucasus, Pakistan, Tajikistan, Transcaucasia, Turkey, Turkmenistan, and now you find them all over the world. Like they just grow everywhere now. You can, because people have just naturalized them everywhere. But they were first cultivated in Iran and Persia, before it was Iran, of course. In that area in the early Bronze Age, like 3,500 to 2000 BC sometimes. That's quite a long time ago. And then, so as I hinted at the beginning, these pomegranate it didn't come to the Americas or this continent, North and South America, until Cortez and in 1521. So it wasn't a native to the Americas.
Fertile Island.
Turtle Island. There you go. But then they spread north through the missions fairly quickly because they had been associated already with Jesus. So we're going to see its association with all this stuff with Judeo-Christianity. And so of course it would be brought through the missions. We'll see how this is, of course it was. There are 3 types of pomegranates, unlike the durian who had 15. There's 3 types, 1 sour and 2 are sweet. So let's start in Judaism, shall we? I know, why not? I love their nice image. So pomegranates, there's 2 ways that pomegranates tie into Judaism, like up front. So the first thing is through Rosh Hashanah. It's a traditional Rosh Hashanah fruit, and it's customary to bless a quote new fruit on the second night of Rosh Hashanah. It's customary to bless a new fruit. And like pomegranate that hasn't been eaten in a long time because it's so seasonal. So this is like a new fruit. And the second way is that pomegranates are said to symbolize righteous knowledge because they're said to have 613 seeds inside them that correspond to the 613 mitzvah in the Torah, which are the commandments, and like about, I don't know, 2/3 approximately are what are they, the positive ones, or 2/3, or is it the other way around? I don't know which one it is. I can't, but some are like negative, like you can't do things, and some of them are positive commandments, like you need to do things. So they include, but there's 613 of them, which are plenty. Wow. Wow. Just thinking about that for a moment. And there's another way. So we have yet another way, and this is actually through Kabbalah. So in Kabbalah, you have this thing called the mystical entry into the Garden of Pomegranates. And you say, well, what is the Garden of Pomegranates? The Garden of Pomegranates is the little translation for Pardes Ramonim, which is a primary text of Kabbalah writing that was written in 1548 by Rabbi Moses ben Yaakov Cordovero Ramak. It was a very important writing, Kabbalah writing, and its literal translation is the Garden of Pomegranates. So it's the mystical entry of the Garden of Pomegranates. So it's a classic example of authentic Kabbalah. And supposedly, and I don't know who says this, but I saw this, so I thought I'd include it. Apparently, there's 7 species of fruit in the Bible that require a special blessing before you eat them, and this is one of them. And we're going to see why, because there's other cultural lore that would actually bring it even further. So in Christianity, though, in Christian art, pomegranates are a symbol of resurrection and life, and they're places where they're depicted with the Virgin and the child together. And I'm going to show you one in a second. There's Botticelli, the Virgin and child with angels. And if you can tell that little baby Jesus Minor there, he's holding that little pomegranate, that little baby. So, yes, there it is. In Islam, though, it's also a symbol in Islamic culture. The Quran refers to the pomegranates were growing in the Garden of Paradise. So in the Bible, we also have, so this like translate Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, all 3 then will refer to this these stories in the Bible. So in Exodus 28:34, they talk about the robes of the high priest. And they say that there's gold bells and on the edges, and that pomegranates are to alternate around the hem. So gold bells and pomegranates. And then also the decoration on the pillars of King Solomon's temple supposedly had pomegranates on them as well. So yeah, the embroidered on the hem of the high priest ephod. So that's where you get that Exodus 28:34. And in the Bible, it's also a candidate for the tree of life in the Bible. So you see how all, yes.
I think I have heard that one.
Zoroastrianism. And you'll see why this is so important. So interesting to note is that my daughter is half Persian, and everyone always asks me if her family from Iran is Islamic. And I say no, they are from way back Zoroastrians, which is, I don't even know Zoroastrians, but they're from Iran. Apparently, like Iran, if you want to know Zoroastrians and where they might be in the world today, the only Zoroastrians I've ever met in my entire existence were those people.
There's a Zoroastrianism place in Temecula, because I've seen it on the board, and I was like, I don't know what that is.
There you go. So in Temecula, apparently you can seek out some Zoroastrians. They were the first religion, I think, that believed in just one God.
Oh,
I think is what
okay.
the Zoroastrians. And I don't know if it's El. I don't think it is. I don't think the one God is El.
Well, I don't know who El is. I know you've been saying this.
El is,
I don't know.
El is the God of the one. So El is Elohim. It's the God of the Bible.
Okay.
So, and originally before the Bible, El was married there. There was actually, the goddess had a consort, and the consort was El, and the goddess was Asherah.
Okay.
And then some men got a hold of that story, and then they just kicked out Asherah, and then they made the consort the primary, which is typical. Yep.
Well, it was all silly to begin with then.
Exactly. And it was all just a dream. So in Zoroastrianism, though, pomegranates are sacred in Zoroastrianism, and they're used in religious rituals. So the yellow color on the pomegranate stamens is supposed to symbolize light and the sun, which we're going to see in Iran is like really, again, reiterated in Iranian culture. So pomegranates are huge. Like it's like layer upon layer with like Iranian culture. So before we talk about that, we're going to mention Greece and look at what a beautiful picture this is. Okay, so in Greece, pomegranates were a symbol of fertility and death. And in ancient Greece and Rome, they were associated with Aphrodite, Hera, Demeter, Persephone, and Athena. These were for sure the fruit that kept Persephone in Hades, that caused all of Demeter's grief, which fuels the seasons. This whole thing, and it's meant, because we know this because it's mentioned in the hymn to Demeter, so that specifically pomegranates were. Then we also have medicinally people speaking of pomegranates, because we have Celsus and Dioscorides. Is that what we said it was? Dioscorides, and Pliny. They all mention that the root bark is recommended as a vermifuge. So there we go. And in ancient Greece, pomegranates were a good housewarming gift. So you were supposed to place them under the altar or on the altar, and it was supposed to be it was a blessing of abundance, good luck, and fertility. In the Odyssey, they have a mention, and it's one of the fruits that's growing in the garden of Alcinous, the king of the Phaeacians. Then we move to Egypt. I'm telling you, it's all over. It's really all over. Like pomegranates are one of those ones that, like, if they were in the Americas, we would be screwed because we would never get out of here, because I can't even imagine there being like more stuff about this. We haven't got to Iran. So here we go. Because the best one, I think, when we get to Iran, that's my favorite. So I can't wait. We're going to celebrate this instead of Yule next year. Okay. Just saying. So in Egypt, though, this is a symbol of prosperity. It's mentioned in the Ebers Papyrus, which is a very important papyrus 3,500 years ago. It was an Egyptian recipe for expelling he fat worms, which are presumed to be a type of tapeworm with what? The pomegranate root. So Egyptians, Greece, that's how apparently the pomegranate root is a great vermifuge. King Tut was buried with pomegranates as well, presumably to keep the worms out of his ass in the next life. Just kidding. Okay. Okay. India. On to India again. More. For Hindus, pomegranate symbols prosperity and fertility. We see this all over. Prosperity, fertility, abundance. It's associated with Bhudevi, and earth goddess and form of Lakshmi. And it's also associated with Ganesha. Now Iran. And first of all, look at that picture. Seriously, like I long to be in that picture right there. Like I just want to be in there so bad. I can't stand it. Yalda night. This is on the winter solstice, and people eat pomegranates to celebrate the victory of light over darkness. So it's the same. We're celebrating on it's like Yule, but it's Yalda night, and I can't wait to see all the things that Yalda night has in store for me. So. So in Iran, Christians in Iran, okay, Christians in Iran, they say that it is the true forbidden fruit in the Garden of Eden. So Buddhism, it's one of the 3 blessed fruits along with citrus and peaches. In China, I mean, like really? So, okay, so it's a popular wedding present, not to give pomegranates, but to give a picture of a ripe, open pomegranate. So a picture, because I was like, you know what, this is a really this is not a Chinese wedding. And I almost made AI redo that picture, because I was like, I thought that Chinese used red for weddings and then white was like death, funerals. Like that, maybe I'm wrong. So I could be totally wrong, but it was my impression. And then I read it again, and it said, no, it's a picture. So this could be the picture that is given at the wedding. So the wedding could be done all different, but this is the picture that goes in their house that is a symbol of fertility, abundance, posterity, and the birth of many virtuous children. Many, many, many. It's also consumed during New Year's celebrations for good luck. Now, in popular culture and literature, we see this again all over the place. So Shakespeare, a nightingale sings in a pomegranate tree outside of Juliet's window as she waits for Romeo. In Pan's Labyrinth, we see this. We see Ophelia encounters a faun who offers her a book, and later pomegranates appear as a symbol of temptation and choice. And it's on that large table. There's so that long table that's filled with all those like red things, there's tons of like pomegranates on there too. So Deadmau5 and the Neptunes has a song called Pomegranate, and I listened to it, and it's pretty good. And if I wasn't copyright infringement, I'd let you listen to it too. I suggest you go seek it out. It's kind of a good song. I enjoyed myself. Good video too. Also, Khalil Gibran writes The Pomegranate. He has a poem. More people have wrote. Look, Oscar Wilde wrote a poem called The Nightingale and the Rose, and he used pomegranates as a symbol of sacrifice and unrequited love. Correspondences. So pomegranate, fire, earth, and air. Apparently people cannot decide. I don't think air at all. It seems much too hardy for air. I don't know. I can't see air. Everything is so heavy about it. There's nothing like spindly or breezy, or there's not even a scent that's on your nose, really. It's like heavy and syrupy and stainy. Okay, so planet is Venus and Pluto. The astrological sign, again, I picked 2 Scorpio, and this one, it would seem like people agreed in Scorpio about this one. Chakra was the root or third eye. And I could see both, root really red kind of, and third eye, I could just kind of, anyway. The Sabbat or holiday is Samhain and Yule and Rosh Hashanah, and I cannot believe myself. I am a fool. Sorry. Oh my gosh, I feel horrible to myself. Yalda night. The tarot card is the High Priestess, of course, and that's my one that I'm doing for this week too, is the High Priestess, so it all works out well. So turn back in on Friday and you'll see the High Priestess being done, talked about, and loved on some. And the goddesses we see associated with pomegranate are Aphrodite, Astarte, Athena, Bhudevi, Ceres, Dionysus, Hera, Inanna, Juno, Kubaba, Persephone, Sekhmet, Venus, Tammuz, and Tanit. The magical properties. It's considered Eve's herb. So people use it for fertility and also for stopping fertility as well. Like there's like some stories of it we're going to see as being like a birth control, although again,
don't use pomegranate as birth control.
Use pomegranate as birth control, especially in our day and age. My gosh, if you use pomegranate as birth control, you could get yourself in a very prickly situation in some states in this country. So for fertility, you want to cut open the pomegranate and you want to huck it on the ground, and then the number of seeds that pops out are the number of the babies, the babas that'll pop out of your womb. So if you don't want to have any babas, exactly,
shaking her head.
Negative, no babas.
Throw this pomegranate on the ground.
Exactly. So
she's gonna place it gently.
I will just
Or I would do more. I'd get them all on the ground and then I'd smash every single one with a hammer.
That is so many babies you're inviting in.
Dead babies.
You think so? You think that's the dead babies? I feel like it's just more.
Babas, lots of babas. Women, so it's used for women's rituals, life and death. And we see that also like in the High Priestess card, it's like on the veil that separates like the conscious and the subconscious, like the realms of life and death, like the veil is thin. All veils are thin. Exactly. That's the nature of a veil.
They do tend to be quite thin.
Exactly. Luck and wishes. Okay, so we saw that it talked about luck and wishes. So here's one. You can eat the seeds when making a wish. It would seem kind of wishy. It's like money and fortune. You can use, some people use the twigs as divining rods for riches, especially in other countries. It's been done. Immortality and wisdom, that double that we see all the time with peaches, with ginkgo biloba. We saw it. There was another one that I just did. I think it was the pitcher plant maybe that I just did. Anyway, so you drink. So for immortality and wisdom, you can drink the pomegranate juice while drawing down the moon. The power of the moon. You can dry and grind the skin. And you can eat the seeds to know your true needs. It will tell you your true needs. And let me tell you, so that's an interesting part too, and I'll just point it out, like, since I'm all about like embroiled in tarot. But one of the things about the magician card is that like not many people realize is that the magician really responds to a need. So like if you aren't like in touch with your needs, like that could be like the first step when you pull your magician card. Maybe you should be like trying to like get in touch with what your true needs are. Like pomegranate. So magical properties, there's more. Divination, creative power, love and lust, anything that red and is always lovey and lusty. I think hibiscus, all those things are. Passion, aphrodisiac, binding, dreams. So if you dream of pomegranate, it means fertility, good health, and a long life. Okay, it could also be it could be a substitute for blood, like in your dreams. So it could mean a lure and an invitation to have sex, if you're like dreaming about it. The Romani, though, they say something different about your dreams and pomegranate. They say that if you dream about unripe pomegranates, it foretells sickness and scandal. Although gathering them up indicates fortune through a person of influence. Some very specific dream interpretation meanings there. So however you want to go with that.
And if you happen to be dreaming of unripe pomegranates versus bloody red pomegranates.
Yeah, exactly.
I suppose all of that comes into play for this.
Exactly. So now onto the medical disclaimer. So it's an anthelmintic. We saw that all over. An antitherogenic, an antibacterial, an antibiotic, an anticarcinogenic, an antihypertensive, anti-inflammatory, antioxidant, astringent, the fruit is, a demulcent, the seeds. The seeds are also a diuretic, an estrogenic, a neuroprotective, the fruit is a refrigerant, a spermatogenic, and a vermifugic. Yeah, anyway, you get the point. And why I have that in there, I have no idea, but it's magic. So mouth and lungs, it's going to help you if you have a cough, for throat infections and mouth sores. I'm sure you should gargle with it if you have mouth sores. And where is that astringent? So yeah, lots of things. Stomach issues, laxative. However, on the opposite side, if you want something for diarrhea, you should use the rind. So the rind is, yeah. Chronic dysentery, the rind. And if you, again, chronic dysentery, my God,
that
like
sounds but
you got a bacterial problem. You're gonna like run into.
You're gonna need something. You're gonna need something. Maybe some pomegranates.
Yeah, I think more than pomegranates. I think you have chronic dysentery. I think you're gonna be running into tapeworm. Though the bark, though, you know what though? If I thought I had a tapeworm, like all over the place, they're talking about that bark as a vermifuge. Like I would be interested in checking that out. More medical properties. And I put the magic in there today. The magic is in the medical today. Women's issues. So the seeds, contraception. So we saw that both sides for fertility and stopping fertility, because it's also for menopause. Women use during menopause. Vaginal discharge, leukorrhea. It's an antibiotic, an externally, it's supposed to rejuvenate the skin. It's an antioxidant. So a lot of things have pomegranate stuff in them, full of antioxidants. And there is my wealth. Take a picture. Let me get back. And we're back. Yay! I hope you guys all love pomegranates and enjoy pomegranate magic. Woohoo! Woohoo!